Taiwan, I'm Joyce, coming to you from Taipei with the latest news. Taiwan is set to give people from Hong Kong and Macau new long-term residency options while also raising application standards in the interest of national security.
香港的人口结构由于被中国大陆刻意的这个洗人口未来申请来台湾的各种的居留定居我们也要提高各种的安全门槛，一方面也提供我们香港未来新住民一个新的选择。
The main body that handles affairs with China says the new option will allow those from the two Chinese territories to travel in and out of Taiwan more freely before gaining permanent residency, and they will not be required to give up their original citizenship to stay in the country. At the same time, Taiwan has been cracking down on Chinese infiltration in the country. On this front, prospective residents from Hong Kong and Macau will also be subject to a longer observation period as part of their clearance. Taiwanese firms are pushing for a more comprehensive plan to respond to paused U.S. tariffs, saying government subsidies are not enough.
要纾困的话，多少钱都不够啦。但是我觉得那只是一次性的。我们如何能够整合出一个让我们要的是工作啦，不只是钱啦，有一些法规的这个松绑啦。
Officials have been consulting industry representatives across the country on how to brace Taiwan's export-dependent economy for the 32% tariffs, which have been paused for 90 days. Premier Zuo Rongtai says he will share the full details of a 20-measure response plan soon. The cabinet has already pledged almost $3 billion in subsidies to help local businesses. Police in southern Taiwan have detained the organizer of a recall campaign for allegedly violating personal data laws. Xu Sangxian is being held incommunicado by the Kaohsiung District Court. He is suspected of forging signatures on recall petitions against ruling Democratic Progressive Party lawmakers Xu Zijie and Huang Jie. Prosecutors say he also colluded with other campaigners to destroy evidence. It comes amid widespread efforts to unseat politicians from both the DPP and the opposition Kuomintang. But several campaigns are now under investigation for alleged misconduct, including petitions containing the signatures of dead people. Taiwan's military is looking to buy 30 more Blackhawk helicopters from the U.S. and upgrade the ones it has on hand to better carry out attack missions. This would involve buying and converting more missiles and rockets. But is this the best move for Taiwan's defense? To find out, Jaime Ocon spoke to Raymond Guo, a security analyst at the Rand Corporation.
So Taiwan wants to upgrade and purchase new Blackhawk helicopters for the Army. How would this help Taiwan's military?
The Blackhawk helicopters, especially these attack variants, could be useful. So you can think of them as very mobile, highly mobile attack platforms carrying air-to-ground missiles, rockets. These can be very effective in sort of a counter-lodgement mission. So if the Chinese were to land on Taiwan, you could send a flight of these Blackhawks through and kind of wipe out either the ships or the landing vehicles. If there's an invasion, China's going to be launching a whole bunch of missiles. They're going to be trying to take out infrastructure. They're going to try to take out responding Taiwanese units. These Blackhawks could potentially fill that kind of gap, that if tanks or wheeled vehicles are having difficulty getting to the beachhead.
When we talk about a conflict over Taiwan, one concern is that Taiwan would have a difficult time protecting its airspace. Would that also mean that these helicopters are vulnerable to that?
The problem is that helicopters can be relatively easy to shoot down. So even though the Chinese will be attacking infrastructure, they're also going to have up a whole bunch of missiles to take out any kind of aircraft, fixed wing or rotary. And so what you need to do is that if you want to have this kind of not just a system, but like a whole unit devoted to this sort of counter-lodgement mission using these Blackhawks, they also have to be well protected. So they're going to need, the Taiwanese will need to establish at least air superiority so that these helicopters can navigate and operate more freely. You'll need anti-aircraft missiles so they can shoot down any sort of intercepting Chinese jets. It adds certain capabilities, sure, but it will also add a whole bunch of requirements to make sure that these helicopters can actually carry out the missions that the Taiwanese seem to be, aiming for.
Taiwan's military has also put an emphasis into this capability to respond quickly to whatever threats it faces. Do these helicopters help with that strategy?
Obviously, if the Chinese are landing special forces, then you're going to want to have these Blackhawks on hand to be able to really rapidly respond. But is the juice worth the squeeze? The maintenance, the upkeep, the training that's all involved in these helicopters? Is that worth it? I mean, you could get some of that by just pre-positioning Taiwanese forces around the major landing beaches.
That was Rand Corporation analyst Raymond Guo. The United States and Iran have agreed to begin drafting a framework for a potential nuclear deal. This comes after the second round of talks between representatives of the two countries in Rome. They've agreed to hold expert-level meetings next week. The U.S. wants Iran to stop producing highly enriched uranium, which it says could be used to make nuclear weapons. Iran says its nuclear program is peaceful, but is willing to discuss moderate limits on it in return for easing U.S. sanctions. U.S. President Donald Trump scrapped a previous nuclear deal with Iran during his first term in 2015 and has threatened to attack the country if it does not reach a new agreement soon. In Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russian attacks have not stopped, despite Russian President Vladimir Putin's announcement of a temporary Easter truce. It comes as the U.S. increases pressure on both countries to negotiate a ceasefire, saying if there's no progress soon, it will step away from the table. Cheers ring out in Ukraine as prisoners of war captured by Russian troops return home in the largest prisoner swap in the 3-year conflict. Ukraine and Russia each saying they returned 246 captured soldiers, and in another apparent show of goodwill, Russian President Vladimir Putin calling unilaterally for a temporary ceasefire to mark the Easter holiday.
Руководствуясь гуманитарными соображениями, сегодня с 18:00 часов до 00 часов с воскресенья на понедельник российская сторона объявляет пасхальное перемирие.
But just hours after Putin's Easter truce was announced, air raid sirens echoed throughout Kyiv. In a tweet, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian attacks have continued, quote, on several frontline sectors, and therefore there is no trust in words coming from Moscow. Zelensky also called on Putin to extend the pause in fighting beyond Easter to show Moscow is ready to truly engage in peacemaking, something that's becoming more elusive for the people of both Ukraine and Russia.
Ночью ми чекаємо в Україні, а особливо в Києві, прильоти ракет. Тому перемир'я не буде.
В Україні не вірю, не буде ніякого перемир'я. Будуть обстріли і так далі.
Last month, Russia rejected a 30-day ceasefire agreed to by Ukraine and its largest arms backer, the United States. U.S. President Donald Trump recently saying he will stop trying to broker peace if there's no progress soon.
We're going to just take a pass.
Some Europe experts say Putin's Easter truce could be a way to appease Trump, who has shifted away from Washington's clear stance in support of Ukraine. But the Trump administration is reportedly now becoming more frustrated with Moscow.
Both sides at this point are concerned as to how they look in the eyes of the U.S. administration, right? Who is more reconciliatory, who is pushing for more peace. Smart move on the Ukrainian side, I would say. It's a counter-offer so that Putin does not look here like the main, peacemaker.
Geopolitical analysts say the U.S. appears to still hold leverage over both Ukraine and Russia. But with trust running low across the board, the war in Ukraine still rages on. Chris Ma and Joyce Tseng for TaiwanPlus. A groundbreaking discovery has been made on a planet 124 light-years away. The presence of two gases there is seen as the strongest evidence yet of life outside Earth.
We have found evidence for possible biological activity on an exoplanet. We have found signs of biosignature molecules, either DMS or DMDS or both of which are produced uniquely by life here on Earth.
The planet, named K2-18b, is 2.5 times the size of Earth, and its surface is completely covered by ocean. Large amounts of the gases were detected by a team at the University of Cambridge using NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. The team is calling it a monumental discovery, but says there's still a lot more to find out. As Christians around the world prepare to celebrate Easter, a small village in northern Croatia is putting different strokes on the tradition of Easter egg painting, and not with bright colors, but something much darker. Zelan Shata has the story.
In this village in northern Croatia, Easter eggs are painted black. It's a unique tradition, one that only a single family follows.
Ta tradicija me inače zanimala jako, mislim, ta crna pisanica je bila onak neka decentna posebno jer je crnu pozadinu imala, a ti cvjetići su crveni, obično bili roza, crveni, ljubičasti. Onda je to onak jako dolazilo do izražaja i bilo je nešto posebno, baš posebno.
Since the 19th century, the village of Donja Dubrava has done things differently. While most Easter eggs are painted in reds, blues, and golds to symbolize new life, here they're all painted black, adorned with delicate floral designs.
Crna pisanica, dakle, nalazi se na listi zaštićene baštine od 2023. godine. Posebna je po samoj tehnici kako se ona izrađuje, dakle, i uz običaj koji se veže. Nije samo, znači, crna, odnosno crna, znači, nego je tu i ta tehnika koja se, znači, nanosi, dakle, odnosno iscrtava se taj cvjetni motiv i onda se nanosi taj vosak, dvostruko se nanosi, znači, kako bi taj sloj bio što trajniji. I zbog toga jesu neke starije, dakle primjerci stariji od nekoliko desetljeća.
Once exchanged as a symbol of friendship on Easter Sunday, the eggs are made using the batik technique. Wax is applied with a handmade copper tool, painted over with black, then peeled away to reveal the pattern beneath.
Pa ja sam izradu tih crnih pisanica naučila od gospođe Marije Fabić. Ona je bila inače majka moje prijateljice školske i susretala sam se s tom pisanicom od djetinjstva, znači od ranih školskih dana. Bakrena žičica koja vrh čini te pisaljke, kičice, i onda je to onak malo teži slučaj bil za djecu raditi, pa se ispečeš i svakak, ali jednostavno si uporan i onda vremenom me to jako zanimalo i tak sam naučila.
What began as a childhood memory, Biserka now keeps alive, teaching the art of the black Easter egg through workshops across Croatia. She has found her audience, young children, local women, and tourists, all eager to try the delicate craft passed down through her community.
Pisanice su se uvijek darovale. Najbolje prijateljice su se sastale i onda su jedna drugoj davale te pisanice. To se uvijek radilo nedjelju poslije Uskrsa, mi smo je zvali pisana nedjelja, a inače je to bijela nedjelja i tako da se to govorilo onda sestra, nevesta, zanavike sestra. I to je ostalo onda prijateljstvo za cijeli život.
Biserka works late into the night every Easter, keeping her traditional art alive, a celebration of unique beauty passed into the hands of those who will carry it forward. Lufi Lee and Zalan Shata for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Joyce. We'll see you next time.